Alright guys, so to wrap it up, this is how we find a starter wire. Now, if you're testing the wires and you get 12 volt constant or 12 volts on ignition or accessory, you should know right away that that is not the starter wire, because starter wire you'll only get 12 volts on crank. See, I had the ignition on and I had no reading on the meter. So what I'm going to do now is give it short spurts of cranks, not actually starting the vehicle. And you're just looking for a response from the multimeter, like so. And we just see a jump right there. Basically it's sending 12 volts only on the crank, and that's what we're looking for here. Always use a multimeter. Again, some guys like to use the probes, and really no need to probe anything on a car. I mean, you're just testing wires, you're just looking for signal. This is what it would look like on a power probe, just to show you guys. Same thing, resting at ground, but when you crank, you're just looking for that jump for 12 volts. Ignition on, but it's resting. And as soon as we give it a couple little cranks, you see a little jump in voltage. And when we actually hold it, it goes to 12 volts. Then we'll jump back down to 0, and that's what you want. It just starts the car and it goes back down to 0. And the final way you would test it is, assuming that you have the right wire, you'll just cut it. And when you cut it, the car doesn't start, you got the right wire. If it starts, then you probably got the wrong wire. Now here, for starter kill purposes, or maybe something you're installing, they're going to ask you for the key side starter kill, and then the starter side. So that's going to be our key side right here, the right side, because they're getting 12 volts from the key. Starter side is basically the rest of the wire going to the starter. Now I'll just show you real quick here how this would look if you happen to get the starter wire maybe somewhere else, not so close to the steering column, perhaps under the hood or something. Wherever you find the wire, you're just going to cut it. And I'll show you that test right now while we're at it. We're going to try to start the vehicle and we'll see that it won't start. But basically, when you crank, even though the wire is cut, you're sending 12 volts to that piece of wire. And whichever side of the wire gives you 12 volts while cranking, that would be considered the key side. And whichever side rests at ground and doesn't give you any response when you crank the car, you know that that's the starter side. So we'll show you here on a multimeter. And again, multimeter is probably the best way. You don't want to get in the habit of using anything else. But anyway, here we are in the key side. And when we give cranks, we see 12 volts on our multimeter. And as soon as I jump it to the other side, you'll see that it just stays dead basically and nothing happens. But that's how you find 12 volts. That's how you find the starter wire. Thanks for watching the series, guys. I'll try to do more videos more often. Don't really get a chance to do too many videos, but if there's any requests out there, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just kind of making videos as I go, and I'd love to help you guys out. If you like any of these videos, please just simple click. Helps me out a lot. And or subscribe. I'll try to stay on these a little bit more. Appreciate your attention, and thanks. Peace.